and welcome to the latest edition of the Vitality Coaches Programme series. My name is Jamie and I am one of the coaches at Vitality, and as you can see I'm not alone today. We've got two super special guests and we're also at home with the Butlers, which is a real treat. So today I'm joined by Louise Buttler, who is Vitality's Pilates instructor and also the founder of Live Brave. And we also have husband Jos, who is a Vitality ambassador. Jos, you're an England World Cup winning cricketer. You're just fresh off a phenomenal IPL series where I'm going to keep this. So where Jos was the highest run scorer, the MVP, the second highest run scorer ever in an IPL tournament. And Jos, I'm going to chuck a question at you immediately. You are only one of two English players ever to score hundreds in the three main formats of cricket. Can you name who the other person is?
I can, because she's also a Vitality ambassador, and that's Heather Knight, captain of the England women's team. So.
And we didn't plan that for one. We haven't spoken about that at all, ever. Not scripted in any way. So it's a real treat to be working with you two today. We kind of want to cover the topic of kind of like consistency and performing at the highest level, bringing in your different career paths. But we're also kind of really interested to get to know you both, because I think that's a key part of like the Vitality family. So Jos, I'm going to come to you first. You got back late last night. Louise chucked it straight on you that we're doing this today, but it has been an unbelievable tournament for you. And I guess what I'm really interested in understanding, if you kind of have been able to identify the things that have been going really well for you and kind of the factors that you need in place in order to perform at such a successful level.
Yeah, I think it's been a really great learning. Obviously, really enjoyed the success. But I went into the tournament having not played cricket for 2 months, which I think was the first huge positive actually. So went to India with a lot of motivation, a lot of energy, pretty low expectations, and just got into the tournament from there in a really good headspace, which I think was the first sort of main key. I managed to score 100 in the second game, which kind of surprised myself, and I think that gave me a lot of confidence to then take through into the rest of the tournament. And my sort of philosophies around cricket is, can I sort of get myself in what I would say is flow and in the zone as often as I can, and control that as much as I can, and then play the situation that's in front of me. I think the more outward facing I am about the situation as opposed to internal stuff like my technique or inward sort of goals, I think that's when I've tended to have more success.
Okay, so it's kind of having the freedom to be confident in your game. And would you say that confidence is a massive part as to whether you perform or not?
Absolutely. I think confidence is probably one of the biggest things you can have in your own game, and I think you sometimes have to act it before you maybe feel confident, and I think trying to have people around you that know you well. They don't have to be a very good technical coach, but have ways of sort of making you feel good. I think sort of sport at the highest level a lot is around man management, and whether you're a senior player, a captain or a coach, can you impart confidence on your teammates around you and sort of get them performing as much to their highest potential of ability as well.
Yeah, no, I can definitely resonate with that, because I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going with it, so it's fine. So Louise, obviously you've grown and developed and built your own business, which is performing phenomenally well, but I imagine your metrics for high performance are quite different to Jos's. So on an average day, how do you decide whether or not you're performing well, and what is your definition of high performance?
My business is an online wellness hub, so it's all subscription based. So the first thing that I'm thinking about is how many people are subscribed to the platform. And just naturally I'm going to watch numbers, so if my numbers dip or whether they peak. And I think a huge reflection of the numbers is how active I am on social media. Is a massive thing for me, so Instagram, but I think like family life and just life sometimes takes over, so I can't be as active all the time.
Yeah.
I have days where I get emails from like people reaching out, brands to do partnerships, and I think that suddenly you get a huge confidence boost when, especially like big brands are reaching out to be like, do you want to work together? And then just I think there's nothing better than just getting a message from somebody who's doing my Pilates or doing the yoga or the HIIT, just saying like, you've changed my life, like you've made me feel I don't know, better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just like hearing from people who I've helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've always had that like strong and obvious purpose to why you do what you do, and I think that authenticity is something which is really important. And Jos, I know authenticity is a word that people describe you with a lot, and I think everyone can probably tell that you do have like a really calm temperament, which, especially playing in tournaments like the IPL where there's such a massive show, and you play a huge amount throughout the year, so you're dealing with like the highest of highs and then having to work with like me and do the lowest, like this sort of stuff. So you're dealing with peaks and troughs all the time. So how do you manage your mindset to be able to maintain like consistency when the stimulus is so different?
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a journey. I think I'd say I've got some natural abilities in that kind of area, but certainly learnt a lot about that, learnt a lot about myself, and I think there's certain hurdles you gradually sort of overcome, and sort of the big foray into international cricket initially with the influx of more media attention and more people sort of dissecting your technique or your performances. It certainly takes some time to get used to that, but if I look back, how I feel about that now compared to 10 years ago, it's chalk and cheese. So I think there's a lot of natural stuff, and then there's the learned bits of sort of, okay, and when you go through those lows, of like how quickly you can get back out of them and into a good performance. So I think the more experience you get and the better at that, the less time you spend in those lows. And then it kind of feels a bit sad, but it's trying to keep a real equilibrium, not get too high with when it's never as good as you think it is and it's never as bad as you think it is. And as I spoke about earlier, sort of the stuff I can take ownership of, and all the cliches of controlling the controllables is all you can focus on. But what I've learned as well is if you are sort of having those feelings of negative thoughts or something like that, instead of suppressing them, you've got to actually acknowledge them and engage with that and say, okay, I am feeling annoyed that some bloke in London is tweeting me saying I'm rubbish at cricket, and actually that is annoying me. So as opposed to saying, oh, it shouldn't annoy me, it shouldn't affect me, just acknowledge it, and then you can sort of come through it.
You, even if I'm having, I don't know, if I'm having a day where I feel like I'm struggling a little bit, he's always like, that's fine, that's normal. And like, ride that wave, and you always normalize everything.
I think we've got to remember we're human. I think as well, Louise spoke a lot about her social media and how important that is to her business, but I think everyone has quite realised that they only put the great stuff on social media, so it sort of gives quite a fake life, and that's, talking about authenticity of why I think Louise has been successful is, she's let people into her life. You can see she's a mum of two, she's juggling things, it's not always perfect, and I remember hearing Joe Wicks talk a lot about that, and I think he's a very authentic person and is driven by similar things to Louise. It's making people feel better about themselves, and when you look after that kind of thing, the rest of the stuff I think will help. So I'd challenge her on what she said about what her high performance is. I think big one would be happiness, the work-life balance is, and the rest of it, I feel like, is sort of fitted into place through her doing that.
But obviously you do get that drive and that determination to then, you hit a level and then you want to keep up with that level. And I think
it's making sure, and that's the healthy way of doing it, isn't it? Of like, as opposed to just only, it's what's the next thing, what's the next thing. You've got to think, once you you're clear on like what your why is, which I know is which I think you have a really clear definition of, that drives all the other things that you're doing, and you see how the partnerships with certain people can drive that.
Happiness is
bigger.
An interesting one, because I think we now have we've really, realised from the last couple of years, we often talk about what does bring happiness, even more money, it really doesn't bring more happiness. It can bring more actual pressure and stress, naturally. And also there's always going to be somebody who earns more money or is better than you. And we are our happiest when we're just, at home.
I think there's a balance to all of it. I think, we wouldn't be where we are if we weren't ambitious, driven people. But it's finding a nice balance. I think why Pilates has become such a great business for Louise. It gives her the balance in terms of the home life and work balance, especially with my job. I'm away a lot, and her online business has allowed her to travel as well. So I think we've found a really happy place in terms of that, which has been great.
I think the two things that strike me there are just you've got phenomenal perspective on things, like you know what the important things are and you know that not everything's lasting, and also you're really strong and focused on the journey, as there is no destination. You're just trying to do things the best you can every single day, and you kind of touched on it there. I wanted to kind of go into a little bit about like the impact on your work and family life, and something that we've talked a lot about through all of the various lockdowns and things is the work-life balance and how those lines have been blurred. And it's so obvious how like supportive of each other that you are. And Jos, you mentioned it, like you are away a lot, like your job takes you away. But instead of looking at it as a negative and a challenge, what I see from you both is actually you just phenomenal at supporting each other. So I guess, Louise, like, how do you support Jos when he's away, and how does he support you similarly when he can't be here? Like, because that seems so important.
So Jos just been away for 11 weeks? I think 10, 11 weeks. It's been a long time, which is actually the longest period of time we've ever been apart. I did go to India just for a week, but I had to do a few days quarantining. So we were actually only together for about 3 days over the past 11 weeks. And you got back last night and we were just talking about the fact that we haven't really had a single blip. Like usually we'd have, the odd day here and there where one of us would be like a bit sad, or, we'd miss each other. And naturally sometimes when you're feeling like that, you can blame the other person, or you're away, or, But for me, so structure, routine is really, really important. And I think that's something that I've always taught through, my Pilates as well. So like carving out time in your day to like have a bit of time for yourself. So the children that keep me so busy from 6:30 in the morning until 7:30 at night, I feel like I don't have a moment to myself, which I don't. So whether it's work, it's the kids, it's my social life. Gotta keep up with that. But sometimes what is tricky is Jos, especially over the last 2 years, has been living a life where he's been actually living in bubbles. So he's actually got a lot of time when he's not on the cricket pitch, where he's in a hotel room, and poor Jos is trying to like ring me or FaceTime me or like catch up with the kids. But then also it's confusing for so our Gigi is 3. And how do you explain to a 3-year-old? She understands that daddy's in India playing cricket, but her perception on time must be very confusing. And sometimes that's when it upsets the apple core, is when you try and FaceTime her, then it's like, where's daddy? But no, I think as long as FaceTime is amazing now. Talking, being open with each other always. Like, people say to me, "Oh, but Jos has got a game tomorrow. Like, I don't think you should talk to him about your stresses or if you've had a bad day." But that's normal for us. Like we talk about everything.
And I think that's the best way it can be. It's certainly a challenge. My job is an incredibly selfish one. I try not to be selfish, but I know what I'm doing is selfish, and to get to where you're trying to be, you do at times. So I'm very grateful to have unbelievable support, and she's very understanding. And I think that's because she's so driven, having found an industry that allows her to have a unstructured work life in a way, because she can sort of be anywhere in the world, or can work at different times of the day, and that's been a real help. Technology is a big one, and I think again, like the talking and being open with it, and just
also remembering like this life isn't going to last forever. Like you've got to enjoy it. Like the opportunity, like the fact that we can like travel, go and see the world I didn't plan to like have my business that was all going to be online, but now it is online. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I can go and be away with you for a month, and actually all I need is my tripod and my phone, and I can video my Pilates and a laptop and some internet, and I can and Zoom.
I think it's you do such a great job to support each other, but I think that the role that I don't always hear so much from is actually like Jos, you said that it's a selfish job, but you must have to deal with a huge amount of emotion being away from your family and knowing the consequence of that. And that's something that I don't feel like is spoken about as much.
It's so annoying when he says this. He's
Oh, really?
so selfish. I'm like, you are the most selfless person.
Well, yeah, because obviously you're wise and things like that, but how do you manage those?
So I think a big emotion is a feeling of guilt, you know, being away. You know, so Maggie's sort of 8 months, and I was saying to Louise yesterday, I was like, no, I don't feel like I really know her as much as, and you know, and when you say that, it's great because you're being honest, but it kind of kills you a bit inside, you know. It's like not a nice thought to have, but again, when you flip the perspective, there's some fantastic, you know, you're trying to set up your family for life as well. At the same time, you're trying to give your children opportunity, which I think is going to be the biggest thing.
They won't remember.
Yeah, to an extent, they won't remember.
They'll just remember, like, you know, being able to go and, you know.
Yeah, and they'll remember some, like you say, they'll remember some great times. And I think, you know, G's probably, you know, if she's been collecting air miles, she's got a few banked up already. But no, I think, and again, being honest with that feeling of saying, look, you know, I feel a bit guilty sometimes, and Louise will say, look, don't worry about it, and then you've actually dealt with it as opposed to holding that in.
But I also remind Jos as well is that if you were doing a different kind of job, maybe you'd be a lawyer or a banker. You know, you might be leaving the house at 6:30 in the morning and not back until 11 p.m. I get mum guilt, and I live here. I get such bad mum guilt when I'm just being like, Gigi, I need to work for like 4 hours. I have to do this. But, you know, that's life. Like, and I like the fact that she will grow up knowing that we do work hard, like, and so that we can hopefully like have a life that they can enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I think is really obvious, is that your reasons for your passion for your work are, and they're part of that.
And your time off as well, which is different to other jobs, is that, you know, like, you're home now for 2 weeks and you you can be 100% dad, which is
which I imagine you're going to cash in on hugely. Yeah, you'll be put to work. Yeah. But Louise, you've really found a passion and a purpose with your job, I feel. And Jos, you've obviously always had this path there, and you've been in it for a long time now. But with you, Louise, how have you found that purposeful job and that thing that you're really self-invested in, and you see the opportunities, and like, I can tell how much you love it. Has that helped you with family life as well? Like, do you feel like you're better and understand how the two work together? Yeah,
so I actually fell into Pilates because of my mum. So my mum had breast cancer, probably not 8-9 years ago now. And part of her recovery was, so she had a double mastectomy, and then her recovery was to do Pilates. And I went along. Jos had already done Pilates. Mum and Jos used to talk about Pilates in the kitchen all the time. And I used to go along with her, and I just adored her instructor. She, you know, her room was filled with people who were, I don't know, in the room because they were having rehab for injuries, or maybe it was for their mental health, or for all ages, abilities. And it was then I was like, wow, like, I want to explore this more. I find it fascinating. And then I became really interested in the anatomy and the physiology of it all, and just seeing how it did make mum so much better, but also not just physically, but mentally. You know, she loved it, and she still does love it. She does it twice a week. And then that's when I left my job at Adidas, went and did my training, and then I set up my business just as, you know, something I could do while Jos is away, and then it would give me the flexibility to go away. It wasn't until COVID hit that it then went, you know, it suddenly went accelerated and has gone, you know, turned into a brand, because it's now all online. I feel like I've gone round in circles now. Come back to what did you ask?
Kind of how has that finding that purpose affected your family life and the balance and things?
I think I think for me, like, you know, when we got married, Jos was really sweet, because he said to me, you know, I never want you to feel stressed or pressured because we were trying to work out how I could work and also be able to see him while he's away for 7 months of the year. And then, but I said to him, I was like, I don't think it's me. I feel like I would need to be working, whether it's just something very small, but to keep my brain active, but also to give me that focus every day. And then now it's turned into this big brand. Like, I'm just like, whoa, it gives me so much like sense of belonging. Also, it gives us so much to talk about. So many exciting things are happening like every day. Like, you know, whether it's the Pilates, whether it's bringing out clothing,
On brand.
or
Nice.
and yeah, I guess it's like a journey. It's just like
Exciting, right?
it's exciting. It's really fun, and
I think I've got 2 questions. The first one that probably everyone's wondering, does your mum do your Pilates now, or does she still with the same instructor?
Still the same instructor.
That's outrageous. That's
Great
terrible.
loyalty.
Yeah, fair play to her. She must be great.
Shout out for Donna in Taunton.
There you go. But mainly for you. And then the second one, though, Jos, I'll pass this to you, but I'll definitely come back to you, Louise. Like, something that I definitely feel from you both, and is why like we're so proud to have you as ambassadors, is because you are phenomenal, but also you're so humble. And sometimes I'm like, do you know what you're doing? And like, I read off your bio, Jos, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, that's ridiculous. So imposter syndrome is like such a huge topic at the moment. How do you see that in what you do? Like, are you now at a stage where you're comfortable with the accolades that you've got and how your career is? Or is it something that you'd say is still that you have to work on?
I think I've never been always been sort of pretty softly spoken and sort of pretty introverted, very driven, but I think sort of being humble and humility and those things are really important. I think sort of some real role models that I like. I always liked the way Roger Federer carried himself and sort of the way he would act on court and stuff. I don't know him as a person, but you know, I just thought looking in, I liked his style. In cricket, Mahendra Singh Dhoni was captain of India, and he's like captain cool and just sort of never affected. And I just thought that was I really liked his style. So it's something I've worked on to try and be sort of quite consciously that kind of style when I'm playing. And I think that sort of feeds into your life as well. I think it's certainly been a change from the World Cup in 2019. I certainly feel more people in the country now sort of aware of cricket, and you walk down the street and you can just sense there's a few more eyes that are like, oh, I know who that is. And I was actually coming out the airport yesterday, and this lady was just walking next to me, and then just suddenly said, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Oh, like, are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I just worked out who you are." And I was like, okay, this is quite awkward, but you know, so certain, you know, and it's nice in a way. I think the best thing is when children and stuff meet you. And I remember being a kid and getting an autograph, or you know, it's all about selfies now. But you know, sometimes you're a bit like, oh, come on, like another picture. But when you sort of think about how much it means to that person, it's great. I'm sure you can hear Gigi's just sort of shouting out.
So I think that's like a real strength though, Jos. Like, I think you get asked that question a lot, and I would never want it to come across that people are saying, don't be like that. Like, that's a phenomenal way to be, and those people that you might aspire to or take inspiration from, I think universally recognised to be admirable in the way that they are. Louise, same question to you though. I know imposter syndrome is something that we've spoken about before. What's your thoughts on it? How do you manage it? How does it affect you? Is it something that you have to work on?
I'm like really bad with it. Like
Okay.
Because I mean I think I'm getting better now that I'm maybe doing like bigger things, like Vitality now wants to work with me, and I think for me, like, if I just come back to the reason that I do my Pilates, the reason for our brand is to help people lead a happier and healthier life, and to try and reach as many people across the globe. So the way you're going to do that is for brand awareness. So the way you're going to reach as many people is for as many people to know about us. And I think that's just remembering it. It's not to like overthink it. But no, I think the thing that I find difficult is sometimes I think social media plays a massive part in this. Is I do sometimes find myself in a bit of social media hole where I start looking at like what other Pilates instructors are doing, what other brands our competitors are doing, and I just think to myself, well, why the hell would they want to do anything with me?
Yeah.
But
So how do you get from that mindset to that's why they would?
I think that's where, talking to,
Yeah,
in fact, that's
also
when
think
talking
that,
to Jamie, when I've had an hour with you or like chatting to you, I'm just like, yeah, I could take on the world.
Yeah. But sometimes I think it's worrying about is that your job? Is it your job to question why Vitality want to work with you? And actually it's not. It's, well, there you want to work with me, so brilliant. So for me, in terms of cricket, so I'm going through a bad run of form. I feel like, they might drop me. And I just had some really good conversations with the psychologist. That's not, you don't pick the team. That's not your job. So if they want to carry on picking you, that's their thing. So great. Don't worry about something you're not in charge of, or it's not your job. So, like saying for Louise, it is your job in a little bit of a way, but just actually take confidence from it. Flip the perception. Take confidence from the fact that someone wants to work with you.
But I think this is an interesting one as well, because at the moment I'm going through a little bit of a, I guess, a challenge in the sense that because the admin of the brand is becoming, is on a bigger scale than what it used to be. Before I had a lot more time to really study and like understand, the body, and there's always like new science coming in that I need to be on top of, and it is really good to like know about, if somebody has they've dislocated their shoulder, but maybe it's like something different. And I feel like recently, especially in the last 6 months, I haven't had that time to really do the self-development myself. So before I used to, have a day where I'd like study, and whether it's prenatal, whether it's postnatal, whether it's athlete stuff. And I think, so as long as, and that's one thing I've like made a promise to myself again now, is to be like, right, I need to employ somebody else to take a bigger chunk of my hand so that I can make sure that I'm always up to date on the knowledge side of stuff. So then I'm going to try and just always keep that level, like that high level, and that's all you can do, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was amazing advice actually. Like it's if others see why would you not see it in yourself?
Yeah.
Louise, you've got like a really clear and obvious why, and it's so nice to see that it runs through every decision that you make and all the thoughts that you have. What's your why, Jos?
My why is to, can I reach my potential? I think that's been the initially the main thing, and in time I think it can change. Added on to that now is can I inspire my kids? Can I set a great example as a role model to children? Can I make my family really proud? I often refer back to my parents, who did so much for me in terms of opportunity and driving me around, and so much selfless sort of stuff. So they're a big sort of motivation to do it for them as well. So, but I'm always really interested in can I reach my potential? I think so. Turning up to training each day, when you're sort of a bit, sometimes it's another mundane session. It's like, well, is there something I can do differently? That is there another level I can get to? And there's a balance in that as well, because sometimes you're never going to quite get there, so it can be sort of unmotivating, because you think, well, what's the point if I'm never going to get there?
That's something I always admire with you as well, is like, the things that you can control, you try and do it at like 200%. So it's things like getting to practice on time, like, I don't know.
I suppose your attitude, isn't it? What you're turning up, what you're coming to, that, and I think you owe that to your teammates as well.
And like he keeps a diary, so he like writes everything down, and I think that's amazing. Like reflecting on what you write and your like mindset, and a lot of it is like, okay, how you keep your confidence up, but also a lot of it is like, just do the simple things that you can control like really well.
Yeah, I've seen that in a lot of like the highest performing athletes in the world, of which I'm definitely putting you in that category, is that their ability is not actually necessarily to nurture their talent so much. It's the way that they're able to make sure that they do the mundane stuff every single day. Like they're the same as everyone else. They have to do that, and then they've got this added maybe extra as well on top. Annoyingly, Louise, you have kind of stolen my next question there, but I'm going to stick with it because I've thought about it. I think it might be the same answer, which is fine. But you know Jos better than everyone, and away from the game and things like that. What would you say is the thing that makes him different, though? Like, what's his
Oh my God, like
maybe
how
best
is he,
quality?
I mean,
Maybe.
how is he so like calm and cool?
Yeah, I'd
Like
lose
seriously,
it.
okay. So one of my biggest things is like, how do you just go to sleep at night? You know, like you've got like World Cup final, prime example. I came upstairs. Gigi was really little, and I came into his room, and it was, you know, the night before a final, and he was like fast asleep, like sleeping like a baby, and I was like, how do you do that?
I think I'd fallen asleep by stress because I was like thinking we'd organised that I would sleep in a separate room that night, and she's in the bar having a great time with her mates, like on the wines, and I was
I'm gonna blame Neil Fairbrother for that and Carrie Root. No, I think he. I mean, what I just love about you so much is just that even though I know deep down, you know how good you are the most humble person ever, and you're so normal and just...
Makes me quite emotional.
I know, but I'm
Easy cut this.
I'm sometimes like, do you know, like when he got home last night, I was like,
Yeah.
you should be so proud of like what you've just done. And yet he comes home, walks through the door, and he cares so much about everyone else. Like he wants to know all about what I'm doing, what like Live Brave is doing, like what the kids are doing, what all our friends are doing. Like you'd never know what you've achieved.
Sounds like the kids are crying.
So as you can now probably see, we no longer have a crying baby, and we have Georgia with us, who is just going to enjoy some ice cream while we have a chat. So Louise, I want to come to you, and you're someone who has kept the same really close group of people around you. We have to give a shout out to Millie, who's our yoga instructor, but also has been friends with you both for years. Louise, you've known her since you were 3. So what is it that you look in the people around you? Like, what do you need to support you?
I think I've just got some awesome friends, and actually so Jos and I were at school together, and there's a group of our friends who we've known since we were 14. We went to the start of school. They're just great people. Like we just have a lot of fun with them. Trust, just honest. Like obviously everyone knows what Jos does, but no one really cares. Like no one really cares. Of course they care, but do you know? It's not like it doesn't change. It doesn't change like the way they treat us.
I think it gives you some really good perspective again. Like you're really good mates who know you really well. Yeah. They're actually really proud of what we both do, but we knew them before we were doing what we do, and they're old mates, and they'll take the mick out of us. They'll have a great time. And
I think as well they're amazing for when Jos is away. I feel like they all, come around and they really support me. They understand that I'm at home with the kids. Jos could be away for a few weeks, and we are. So where we live, I feel like we've got a really good group all on our doorstep. So whether I feel like this house becomes a bit of a hotel. It's always open door policy. And we've got, just school friends, uni friends, and then our families both live in Somerset, so a few hours away. So we haven't got family on the doorstep. So I think, it's really important to keep, those deep-rooted friendships, close. And also, when we are, I might be away for a month. I might go and spend Christmas in Australia with him. But as soon as I get home, I know they're all here. Waiting.
I think that one of the best ways, we've spoken about being humble a lot, to maintain that is to have your daughter just...
I'm just mopping up cornetto here in the corner.
Ice cream all over you. It's no wonder that you are.
But you did say it was at home with the Butlers, so now
This is the full experience.
You've got all of
Also, full disclosure, we need to give a shout out to your second daughter, Maggie, who's
there's an 8-month one in the corner.
She's just great. Yeah, Dan the cameraman's having a phenomenal time.
Sorry, Dan.
It's all just superb here.
It's all just gone a bit wrong, but we're rolling with
it's
it.
gone so
you're doing
right.
very professional.
Yeah,
Keep
I
it going.
have no idea what's
Jamie,
happening.
have you ever done a podcast or an interview like this?
Maybe never again as well, but we'll enjoy it while it's here. No, I think that again is something that's so important and that you've both got and are lucky to have. I'm going to change the topic a little bit now, but it's kind of related. Jos, I remember last year, I think it was at the end of the IPL, you gave your bat to, was it Yash Jaiswal, and you wrote on it something like "Enjoy your talent." And I thought that was like the best message I've ever seen anyone write to someone. And you're someone that's been, everyone says that you've got amazing talent. I think that disregards the hard work that you put in a little bit, but really interested to understand what your relationship is like with your talent and how you see it.
Yeah, I think I think I am talented. I think I've always had a bit of a natural ball sport kind of talent. I loved ball sports growing up, and was doing all that stuff. So obviously you naturally develop that talent as well. And I think what I was trying to say in that message to him is, in the world of professional sport, there becomes other pressures. It becomes more pressure on performance and sort of trying to score so many runs to win games for your team, etc., etc. But the crux of why you started playing the game is because you loved it and you enjoyed it, and expressing your talent, especially in T20 cricket, is probably the easiest one for me to sort of feel like that's where I can express my talent the most, and to enjoy the fact that you've got those skills and you can do things that not everyone can do. And it doesn't mean that you're being arrogant about it. It means that you are aware of that, you're grateful for it, and that's how you continue, I think, to enjoy the game as well. And some of the best times for me are when you're actually in the nets and there's no sort of consequences. You can just mess around, hold the bat differently, try new shots, and really explore your talent. So I think that's a good message to try and remember.
Yeah, I think the freedom is a great thing, and it almost makes your talent even better because you're allowing it to happen. There's actually a video that I'll guide people to that Vitality did with you and Rob Key. It was about 4 years ago, and it's you giving a 2020 masterclass. And if you want to see Jos's talent, you need to see that video, because honestly, what I really wanted to know is how many takes did each of these things take. But I'm going to say it was one. But Jos would be like, this is going to happen.
In the middle and you just
absolutely smashes it all over.
We were there for days.
Right.
That's
what I wanted to hear. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And Maggie still just loves it as well. I think that the kind of final part that I do want to come into is how your Pilates journey, Louise, has linked with Jos's, and how you've actually supported his physical performance as well. So what are some of the benefits that you've found that Pilates has with athletes and also on Jos? And I'll also get you to add into that, Jos, how it supported you as well.
Yeah.
Well, I did mention before, so Jos did Pilates before
Way before.
I was even
He's an
started
original.
instructor. So
Yeah.
he was a huge advocate for Pilates probably because of your back. Is that the initial?
Yeah, initially from just sort of injury prevention, I think.
So the boring bit about Pilates, well, the massive reason for Pilates is obviously keeping your core really strong. Yeah. And when I talk about your core, I'm not just talking about your abdominals, I'm talking about your pelvis, I'm talking about your shoulders, so that then everything then functions efficiently. Yeah. So all those little intrinsic muscles, they get strong, and then when you have to go and hit a ball hard, you aren't going to get yourself injured. So Jos is obviously doing a lot of rotating, he's also doing a lot of squatting. It's also keeping all your muscles balanced, and if your muscles are all balanced, then you're going to not get injured, and you're also going to work as efficiently as possible. So that's the reason for Pilates. And then we actually really noticed how beneficial and good Pilates was for you during lockdown, because we were doing it every day, religiously. We were doing it every day, 25.
I remember, right?
He did it in full kit and sometimes, but we did it every day religiously for 25 minutes. And off the back of that, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm running so fast." And he said the thing that I'm doing differently is sticking to my Pilates every day. And then even when you're away now, you do it so that it keeps you, it just alleviates pain from your back, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the main reason for Pilates for me is sort of injury prevention, really. And as Lou mentioned, I noticed it a lot during the lockdown. We were doing it every day, and I got into running, and I never used to be able to run for a long time. I'd find my back would really stiffen up and I'd just be in pain, so I'd stop. But I think the Pilates was giving me that core strength she was talking about, sort of giving me a lot more range in my hips, which is where I get really tight, which is obviously linked to the back pain. And I just thought that was just such obvious benefit that having done it sort of religiously through the lockdown, and so it's something I've now put into my routine to keep me in less pain.
I'm going to jump in again as well, is that one massive thing about the Pilates is it's giving yourself that time in the day, just to yourself. And I think with Pilates, like it's not like being on a bike, or it's not like running where you can actually think. Whereas I think with Pilates, because you actually have to be really concentrating on what your body is doing, you actually cannot think about anything else apart from what you're doing. Yeah. So that's a huge reason why I think a lot of people do my Pilates is more for the mental benefits opposed to the physical benefit. Yeah. And I know for Jos, when you're away, you message me and you're like, yeah, I do your Pilates every day just to give me that like time and space on my own, and also just to breathe and like not have to think about anything else. Yeah.
It's almost a bit of a meditation kind of thing. A lot of time, especially in the bubbles, like you find yourself just on your phone, just sort of mundane, like. So actually, then being like, actually no, for 20 minutes, I'm gonna put my phone away.
With me as well.
Yeah. And I get put through my paces, and then I quickly close the laptop again and escape.
Can you imagine if Jos was doing your mum's instructors Pilates? That would not
We've
be okay,
actually
would it?
been a couple of times.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I mean, we get the giggles.
Stay loyal.
Yeah.
So, does Maggie want to introduce herself to the camera, or
Yeah.
are you going to say hi to everyone?
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Maggie.
And
My
Yeah.
real name is Margot.
And what's your name?
And how old are you,
Shy now.
Gigi?
You're 3, yeah?
Hi.
We're gonna play
You
a game.
okay?
Okay.
Ready to play? It's a serious game. Maggie, can you focus? Are you there? She's not interested, but we're going to play the game. So the game is called, I was looking at Maggie then as if it's for you two. The game is called Everyday Dilemmas, okay? So what the game is I'm going to give you two things. One you can keep forever. The other one is gone from the world forever. It can never be seen again. You can never do it again, okay?
Oh, fun.
Okay, so the first one, it's kind of quick fire, but you both have to agree, by the way.
Okay.
So
right.
you're just saying how great you get on and stuff. Let's really see that.
really test
Yeah, well, let's see that. So first question, host a party or go to a party?
She'll definitely say host.
What do you say? Okay,
Host a
fine.
party.
Now I see why this works. So what do you think? Okay,
I
nice.
think that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, next one, eggs and avocado or a fry up?
Ooh.
Fry up.
Jos has asserted himself there, Louise.
Yeah,
They're
but
in the fry up, aren't they?
They
And
are.
avocado being
So
on
I'm
the side
basically
of our fry
healthy
up.
breakfast or fry
Can we
up.
have the fry up with the avocado on?
Right, this
avocado
is
on-
how
Fry up.
fry up.
I'll make a stance on this one.
Good.
Okay.
Louise, it's
all right, I
happened.
do love the bacon in there. Yeah.
Okay,
fry
fine,
up.
good. That's what we wanted to hear as well. The next one is a bit of a conundrum.
Like sportsmen.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, athlete living. This is the
Well,
reality.
this one.
If you wear a new item of clothing once, but you don't like it, do you take it back?
No.
No.
No, you should see our wardrobes.
Although
We've got.
So I'm
we
doing
have
it now.
so much stuff
Should have taken
that
it back.
that we should have taken back.
Or
and
just never bought in the first
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I'm
It's
just
like
really
food.
guilty of that. I'm like shopping and think that'll look good.
Yeah.
And
Also,
then
you
get
buy
back
shoes
and-
that are
Huge.
size too small for you every single time.
Hang
and then
on, that's a question. That is
Is it?
literally the next question.
Jesus.
So if you're half a shoe size, you can only go up or down. Which way do you go?
Up every time.
Yeah, you've
'Cause
got to go up, but I don't know. I think
What do you reckon, Maggie? Up or down?
he thinks
I
he's
get
a size.
tricked by the salesman. They're like,
Right.
oh, you know, they just loosen that. It's that kind of leather. And
Yeah, he's lying to
whereas
you.
actually,
You've got
just trying to
blisters.
get
Yeah.
easy stuff.
Okay, no, so we're going up on that one. The
Yeah,
sensible
but
decision.
I mean, most women, if you're in fashion, you should go smaller because obviously you want smaller feet.
Well,
but I
it's interesting you say that. I go down, so clearly I'm
you
in
go
fashion.
down?
You're
Yeah,
in fashion.
I'm in
you,
fashion.
You dress well.
I'm in fashion. Yeah, 100%. Next question: cheap or expensive slippers?
Expensive.
Big time. Yeah, agreed.
Because also they say if you're buy expensive or nice comfortable shoes and an expensive comfortable bed, because if you're not in your bed you're in your shoes, if you're not in your shoes you're in your bed.
See, there is actually thought behind these questions. I didn't know that until you said that, but there is. Okay, 2 more. We're going to have, this was an internet sensation, doors or wheels. So the traditional question is, are there more doors or more wheels in the world? Which I've spent far too long thinking about. Have you not heard that one?
I have, but I haven't
Don't
even
really
come to a
care.
conclusion yet.
Okay, fine. But now you can only have one. So are you keeping doors or are you keeping wheels?
Doors. Are you going wheels?
Well, you've got to agree.
What's the reason for doors?
Because it's like an open door. Open.
Yeah,
like-
therefore there's no wheels in the world. How are we going to go anywhere?
I quite like just being at home.
Fair enough. Doors it is.
Doors, you've taken it out. Final question, your meal deal selection. So you've got some sort of savoury, some sort of snack, some sort of drink. What are you going with?
So the traditional meal deal would be probably BLT sandwich for
Yeah.
me, with a pack
Percy figs.
of
Percy figs.
Percy. We can't really put them in there.
It's a strong meal deal. You could. It's an expensive
and it
meal
would have been
deal.
a Coke for me back in the day, but now
Okay.
it would be a sparkling water. But,
Very good.
yeah,
Do
my
you?
favourite crisp would probably be salt and vinegar McCoys.
Good. Ridge Cup.
Yeah,
Nice.
good stuff.
Can you go with that?
Yeah,
Because that's what you've got. I think you've got a lot on your hands, so I suggest you do just go with it probably. That
What's
is
your
the
favourite
game.
food? What's your
Georgia, have you
favourite
got
food?
one?
Piggies.
What do you like the most?
Ice cream, I think,
Ice
from
cream.
what she was doing earlier. Well, there you go. Everyday dilemmas. I think it was a hit. No one agrees, but we'll definitely be doing it again. I think we've come to the stage where we kind of get to the last question, and you're both high performers. We've learnt so much about like your mindset, but also how you manage family, and it's nice that we've ended with the whole family here. So my final thing is just, can we get one book or podcast or a recommendation from each of you for things that you think that people would benefit from reading or listening to? So Jos, if I start with you on that one.
Yeah, so a book I read recently is The Happiest Man Alive, which is about a survivor of Auschwitz, and I just found it a really easy read book, quite emotional at times, but someone with an incredibly positive outlook on life. So that was a great book. Podcast recommendation would be quite apt actually, is Josh Widdicombe and Rob Beckett's Parenting Hell, which sort of debugs all the great myths of parenting, and those two are hilarious, and so I've enjoyed listening to that as well.
Amazing. Louise?
Podcast, the high performance podcast, I think is awesome. A really good listen. Great one for the car, long journeys. And then book, I love a Jeffrey Archer. I love the series, like Jeffrey Archer series. I think they're just great on holiday. I think now I've got kids, I haven't got time to like read much, so I love the fact that they're just quite, I think they're turn page, you want to turn the page all the time, so I like a Jeffrey Archer.
Perfect. That was unexpected, but I think it was great. That is everything that we've covered today. We've gone from the serious nature of high performance and understanding both your careers. We've definitely touched on family. We've had a bit of fun along the way. And a big part of this was actually to get everyone to know the bigger Vitality family. And Jos and Louise, you're huge parts of that. And Maggie, we must end by finding out where we can find out about your Mum's Live Brave platforms. Louise, where would you guide our members to find out a bit more?
So my website is livebrave.life, and my Instagram handle is also livebrave.life. And on the Wellness Hub, you can find Pilates, yoga, HIIT, nutrition. You can follow calendars, so challenges every single day. We're currently doing a lifestyle challenge, which day by day there's recipes, there's a Pilates session, a HIIT session, a yoga session, there's mindfulness, podcasts, audios to listen to. And we've recently just done a clothing collaboration with Castor. So we will be selling the clothing on the website. And what else do we have? We have subscriptions, so you can either sign up to 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and different price points.
And I reckon that's...
And I think we should all go to the park maybe now and end this one. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm apparently on duty now, so wish me luck with that. Thanks so much to everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this content. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out more. Please do join us again next month, where our theme is self-help and effective support for others. And thanks so much for having us in your house.
So much for having
It's
us.
been fun. And let's go. I've got some work to do, I think, now.